CTE Photography Students. I'm going to be doing a quick portrait editing tutorial. So what I'm going to do is grab a photo and then of course make a duplicate copy of that photo. And so when you have the copy, you can open that into Photoshop like so. And so what I'm going to recommend is using Photoshop first and then adding some camera raw filters. So what I'm going to do is go to Layer, Duplicate Layer. I'm just going to copy the layer. So I have two copies. I'm going to go to Filter, down to Camera Raw Filter. And it's going to open up my photo into Camera Raw and give me those options. So for this one, I'm going to recommend go in the Basic tab. You can obviously, adjust the brightness depending on how you shot your photo. You could, fix the color temperature. Like this one's a little on the cooler side. You could do an auto white balance and see how it does. That's kind of weird. So let's see. I'm just going to manually do this here. It looks pretty good there. Right about there we go. And I do recommend for portraits is to line up the shadows. So we don't want typically dark shadows in a portrait unless it's for a specific reason. But for one nice flattering portrait, you might want to line up your shadows. And with the Camera Raw, we do have the texture slider. So I'm actually going to recommend doing a negative texture, and it will soften up skin more. You could also do a slight negative clarity, and that'll kind of soften up bigger things as well. You can adjust the vibrant saturation. This looks pretty good right now. And then what I do recommend is going into the effects and adding a vignette. You can adjust the midpoint of the vignette. You can adjust the shape of it as well, depending on what shape. And you can also adjust the feather. So I'd recommend a pretty good feather, adjusting the midpoint, and then the amount, depending on how dark you want your edges. So this looks pretty good. So what I'm going to do is hit OK, and it's going to open that back into Photoshop. And because it's on a separate layer, I can turn it off and on. I can adjust the opacity, so maybe if it was too strong, I can show 54% of that instead of 100%. And if I wanted to do a specific adjustment, I could add a layer mask like so. Invert it by pressing Command-I. So Command-I to invert it to black. And then I could get a brush, set it to white. And then wherever I paint white, will show that filter. So again, you could do specific things with camera raw filters and a layer mask and adjust where it goes. So I'm just going to delete that because I'm happy with the whole photo. And so what I'm going to do is basically just merge that down. So I'm just going to go to Layer and Merge Down. So now it's going to put that camera filter on my background layer. And then what I want to do is clean up the skin and maybe do some blending and maybe remove some of these flyaways for the hair. So I'm just going to go to, again, Layer, Duplicate Layer, hit OK. And then I'm going to use our Spot Healing Brush tool. I'm going to zoom in, pressing Command plus to zoom in. And so you could use the Spot Healing Brush tool to remove any blemishes that there might be, depending on your subject. So again, I do recommend using the Spot Healing Brush tool. And again, you can modify the size of it and the edge, or you could use the brackets next to the letter P to make it bigger or smaller. You basically just want it slightly bigger than what you're trying to remove. And if it does mess up, which it will, you can choose the Standard Healing Brush. And just hold the Alt Option key, you get a target. So Alt Option click on a clean area, let go of the Option button, and then now it's basically, when you click, it's going to take that healing information from a specific area. So I might Alt Option click on this clean area, and then get rid of some of this stuff. Alt Option click. So Alt Option click on this area, and then let go of Alt, and then just a click will heal from that specific area. This also works well on flyaways, so I'm going to Alt Option click on the background and then just go over some of the flyaways. And you might need to kind of retarget it. You could switch it back to the standard spot healing and just see how well Photoshop does in guessing. And just kind of go over some of these flyaways, like so. There we go. Grab this one. And so sometimes it'll guess right, sometimes it'll guess wrong. So you can help it out by using the standard spot healing brush and just kind of going over it a couple times. And then it should get rid of some of these flyaways, like so. And another method is you could clone out some of these flyaways. So if I got a clone stamp tool, I'm just going to bring the flow down to about 15%. Make sure the hardness is set to 0%. You could adjust the size of it too. And so you could, again, using the Alt Option button, I'm going to press Alt Option and click on the area I want to clone from. So Alt Option, click. And then my next normal click will be a 15% soft brush. So I can slowly kind of like fade this off and kind of blend it down like so. Get some on the top. So I'm going to Alt Option click up here and then bring that down and just hold down the click and then slowly kind of blend it. So that's another method of just kind of blending away flyaways. And if it kind of looks bad, just go back in your history window. So if you don't have the history window, just go to Window History and then you can go back in your steps as needed. So this one I'm actually going to use the spot healing brush and it should get rid of it. There we go. And then I'm just going to kind of get rid of some of these. So we'd spend some more time doing that. We do have some on the forehead too. You know, you could go over it. Just kind of do little passes and kind of see how it does. And then you can adjust further. But that looks pretty good. Again, I would spend some more time, you know, getting rid of these, but I don't want to waste all your time. So for cleaning up, you could use a spot healing brush tool or a clone stamp tool. If you had kind of the under eyes or you wanted to blend the skin, you could use a clone stamp tool for that. And just alt click, again, make sure you're on a low flow and then a soft edge. And alt click on a cleaner, and you could blend off things, like maybe blend off some of the shine. You could even out some of the skin. But keep in mind, because it is blending, it can look kind of fake if you go too far. So you just want to do low flow and just kind of light blending on that. And so this is the before and after. So you can see we've got rid of quite a bit of stuff. And then if we're happy with our edit, we just want to combine our layers. So go to Layer, Flatten Image. Always the last step to combine your layers. And then let's just save that out. It's already a copy, so I'm just going to hit save on the copy and hit OK. And there's my high quality JPEG. And so this was the before and after. So again, we did our adjustments in Camera Raw, and we did some blending and healing to remove any blemishes and some hair flyaways. So that's a pretty good portrait edit. Thanks for watching.